संगम जी भी ज्वाइन करेंगे। हुई है मेरी बात?
ऐसा वॉइस में इश्यूज नहीं है ना अमित सर?
नहीं सर, प्रॉपर आ रही है वॉल्यूम तो आपकी।
हेलो।
अनुज जी बता देना कि कब करना है पूरा प्रोग्राम।
Last and for the webinar. So I first of all welcome today keynote speaker CA Nihalchand Jain ji from Bombay, who is the youngest and dynamic personality of our profession. We are really feeling very proud and we are feeling very honored that today Nihalchand sir is with us. We already read so many blogs, YouTube videos. We are feeling very fortunate today that you are with us and will guide us on the very hot topic of assessment under the GST Act. So I first of all I like to invite CA Amit Kumar, the chairman of Sonepat branch. Please formally welcome keynote speaker and the member in this webinar. Over to you, Amit ji.
Thank you, Anuj ji. Good evening, everyone. First of all, I would like to welcome everyone for joining the last day of the VCM series on a very important topic: how to handle scrutiny and assessment of notices. All the topics are linked with each other, and we are much blessed all that all the speakers gave their deliberation on their topic in depth. I would like to thank you, Amritsar and Yamunanagar branch, for joining and their involvement in VCM series on GST jointly with us. We have a young and dynamic, renowned speaker, CA Nihalchand Jain ji from Bhayandar, who have different style of deliver the topic in form of shairi and storage, and is ready to impart their knowledge on today's topic. So, without taking your much time, I would like to hand over the dice to Anuj Jindal ji to take this VCM forward.
Thank you, Amit ji. Now
Thank
I
you, sir.
like to invite CA Sunil Jetli ji, chairman of Amritsar branch. Please formally welcome CA Nihalchand Jain ji. I don't think Nihalchand is needed any kind of introduction, but as the custom of this VCM, I would like to invite CA Sunil ji. Please formally welcome our today keynote speaker to the audience. Over to you, Sunil ji.
Thank you, Anuj ji, for giving me this opportunity to share the brief profile about very young and dynamic chartered accountant CA Nihalchand Jain ji. Here we go. Nihalchand is a fellow member of Institute of Chartered Accountant of India and completed his graduation from a prestigious HR college, Mumbai. He has more than 6 years of professional experience in business and operational risk advisory, GST audit, GST compliance, setting up of standard of operating procedures, etc. He has a special inclination towards GST, where he likes to write, read, research, and speak about GST and previous indirect tax generally, as well as case-to-case basis. He is also visiting faculty in various institutes like the ICAI and the ICAI branches like Ahmedabad, Sonepat, Amritsar, Yamunanagar, etc. The ICAI study circles at Bhiwadi, Belgaum, Borivali, Bhayandar, Worli, Jair have also invited him to speak to the CA members. He's also been invited as a regular speaker at various forums like GST Panacea, Upcast, iTalks, Circle, ISKCON, Optotex, GST, AIM, TPA, the Malad chapter of Tax Consultants. He's also a guest faculty at Upaka, Nirmal College, Thakur Ramnarayan College, SIOL College of Design, Ramjas College. He's active both academically as well as practically, wherein writes and talks about different aspects of various topics. He frequently writes for magazines, journals, and various publications. He's a trainer, speaker, and motivator at various academic as well as corporate events. The audience always have always appreciated his style of linking complex GST laws with their routine and day-to-day activities. Thank you.
Thank you, Sumit. And now the sir, desk is lower. Now as the Amritsari says, shares and shairi. We would like to do this webinar.
Sorry to interrupt you. In just a short span of time, you have been able to design such a vast resume. So just let us know the time management technique you are following, where in just a short span, you have done a wonderful activities and such an enormous amount of activities in such a short time. So please let us know that also.
Thank you, Sumit.
Yeah.
Sure, sir. Thank you, first of all, Amit Bhai, Anuj Bhai, Sumit ji, for inviting me with, I would say, my role models when I had actually started to work under the GST. And वो जो designing है, या वो जो portfolio है, या वो जो CV है, as I would rightly point it out, वो मुझे cut short करनी पड़ी because for a lot of things, otherwise it goes on and on. And but again, we'll talk on that at a later point of stage. Topic for today, let me tell you, is a topic that can be discussed with a PPT. It can be discussed without a PPT as well. Now, when I say with PPT, without a PPT, but for sure as a custom, I always prepare up certain sort of PPTs. So, वो screen पे चलेगी, but हाँ, PPT नहीं भी दिखे, so that is still fine. More important is what you take out of it. So that is how I would be delivering. And एक और चीज है that the lecture would be in a mix of Hindi and English because a certain punchlines would not be felt in English. So I would surely be keeping up on that skills. The movement I understand notices and assessments. I always remember a dialogue which says, devil आपके पीछे, आप devil के पीछे, it is gonna be too much fun. Now, when I say it is gonna be too much fun, by fun I mean you miss and I hit. And I am very clear on that, whether we deal it from our practical point of view, whether we deal it from our academic point of view or on any stage. When you are representing or when you are trying to reply to something, you miss a point, it would be caught. Very rare. It would be happening that you also miss and the other person also misses that thing. And by other person, I mean it can be your client. It can also be the department who is, or the officer who is actually going to complete up the procedures. So now, so this is the topic for the day as to how to handle scrutinies and assessments of notices. And I am sure jitna beautiful, rangeen, colorful mera welcome hai, the same to same would be the topic and the deliberations as well. A few disclaimers that I always say. I always like to share the little knowledge that I have with me with the respected audience and the listeners. So in case you do not agree to my opinion, that is okay. We can always have a discussion on it, because the beauty of law is that two persons can differ and both of them can be right as well. So I do not say I know it all, but yes, a little bit I also know. So let us try to accept. Now this is something when I say, and when I hear that somebody says, I am a GST confident person, At the end of the day, I am like, okay, so you must be knowing everything about self-assessment, returns, discrepancies, scrutinies, verification of the claims, as well as a bit of departmental SOPs and actions. Why is it important to know the departmental SOPs and actions? It is because to point out any irregularity, okay, you should be knowing what the process is. If you only do not know what is the SOP of the department, how would you raise out a point that this was not correct or this was rather not appropriate? So you also need to know a bit of it. Now, when Stanley of Spider-Man wrote this line that with great power comes great responsibility, he would have obviously not imagined that somebody sitting in Mumbai, Nihalchand Jain, would be using his line to represent a act. So what is the great power given to you? To do self-assessment. Now, what is the greater responsibility that is casted on you? To determine and pay GST appropriately. Now, by the term appropriate, I mean it should not be more, it should not be less either. Both of them have their own respective costs. When will I get this notice? Is the first and the foremost important question to be answered. GST में आप कुछ भी करो तो ही notice आएगी. So what is the only thing that you can do under this act? Self-assessment. So when will you get an ASMT 10? When you do a self-assessment. What do you mean by the term self-assessment? Section 59 of the CGST Act defines it. It says that every person should self-assess and furnish a return. So when I say that you are furnishing a return as prescribed under section 39, okay, here I am referring to the term 3B. GSTR 3B is ultimately where you actually pay to the government, and therefore that becomes a base, that becomes a basis of your any action that the department may take on. अब बहुत ज़्यादा theory हो जाती है तो you know we always tend to get a bit here and there. So I have represented it in a very concise chart. ठीक है, अब ये act है सबके पास में. This is something that I have derived. This is what I have made. I am a taxpayer and I am doing self-assessment under section 59. I am giving my information to the government of India. Now, when I give my information to the government, what are the two details that I would be giving? Sales, ITC. Apart from sales and ITC, I don't feel anything is there under this act itself. Which section is your major deriving thing? It is your scope of supply as well as your outward supply ka details. That is your section 37. जाने दो section 37 में क्या? It is your GSTR 1. Coming forward to the next point related to ITC, input tax credit. Now, whenever I use the term input tax credit now, at a lot measure of the places, the answer that I get is Nihal section 16. Bus. Nobody is ever thinking that section 38 is also something that talks a lot about input tax credit. Now, why I am discussing section 38 over here? Because a few of us would be very updated. They are like, Nihal, Finance Act 2022 has already done away with this section. So what is there to discuss about it? You are also getting notices for the financial year 17-18 and financial year 18-19. At that point of time, this section was not omitted. That section was there in place. And when I say that that section was in its place, you need to understand that it has its own implications. Now, when I say कि उसका implication है, आपको follow करना था. आप can be the taxpayer, आप can be the department. If the department has failed, it is your saving. If you have made an error, it is the savings for the department. Now, in the chat box, if I can get a quick answer, whether section 38 bracket opening GSTR 2 was ever implemented on the GSTN portal, yes or no, in the chat box. If I can get a very quick yes or no. Yes, no, no. So most of us are of the view, no, it was not. And that is absolutely the correct understanding that you need to have. It was not implemented. And when I say it was not implemented, अगर आपको एक notice आता है wherein you get a answer, the amount of ITC claimed as per 2A, the amount of ITC claimed in 3B is more than as appearing in 2A. Should you be quoting section 38? Answer is yes. Why? क्योंकि 38 बोलता है that the taxpayer needs to upload GSTR 2, and then there would be a matching that would be happening. To upload हुआ? नहीं. Matching concept apply हुआ? नहीं. So जब आपने अपना काम नहीं किया, so it becomes my savior. And when I say it becomes my savior, I am happy that I have a base to reply on. Anybody who feels that section 38 cannot be used, I am sorry, I am using it for 2 of my recent appeals that I have filed, wherein I have actually quoted it that आपने section 38 था, section 38 was not suspended, section 38 was in its place. I did not get an opportunity to upload my details. And when I did not get an opportunity to upload my details, the supplier cannot determine the amount of ITC that I can take. It is my right. And when I say that it is my right and you do not give me my right, you do not just say violate section 38 or section 42 of this act, but you also violate article 14 of the Constitution that talks about right to equality. So this is how we need to be smart enough to understand what is to be invoked. And एक और चीज याद रखना, आपका section 42 that is matching of ITC and section 38, these both sections would go hand in hand. ऐसा नहीं हो सकता कि आपने section 38 पे तो detailed analysis लिख दी and then you are like, okay, I will not quote section 42. Why? Nihal, 2A was available on the portal, no. We could have done the matching ourselves, no. Agreed. But it was it your role to do it? No. आपने कर दिया, fantastic. आपको करना था क्या? नहीं. So जो काम आपको करना नहीं था, वो भी आपने as good practice कर लिया is good. Was not a responsibility. And when you do all of it, that is section 38, 16, 42, 37, you then turn down to your return under section 39. अब जब आपने return भर दिया under section 39, it is precisely at that point of time that the adjudicating authority has some detail on his records. And using those details, he issues you a mismatch notice. Now, why? To explain it to you very simply, in a very one-line way. 2A was showing ITC of 1,000 rupees. The amount of ITC as claimed by you in 3B was 1,500 rupees. Mismatch arose, and once the mismatch has arisen, you get a ASMT 10 notice or the mismatch notice. I hope I am very clear कि ASMT 10 आएगा तो. अब आने के बाद क्या होएगा वो भी we'll see, but first let us understand पहुंचे कैसे वहां तक, and then we'll understand how to reply to it. And I'm sure we all recognize this gentleman on the screen. He is Mr. Vivek Johri, ex-chairman of the CBIC. On 10th of February 2022, he had come up with a statement that we would now be focusing on scrutiny and audit of GST returns in the coming years. With that statement in his mind, we got a hint that abhi routine compliance practice to chalegi, litigation, scrutinies, assessments will also start flowing. And when I say that it starts flowing, it is good and bad both. Why bad? First year of implementation, the portal was not working, the site was not working, nothing was supported. Somehow or the other, the taxpayers, the tax professionals took the pain, completed the compliances. First year, errors were bound to happen. I repeat, they were bound to happen. The errors took place. Galti hua, it was expected that the scrutinies for the first 2 years would be lenient in view. However, to my experience, it has not been lenient at all. I do not say it has been extremely tough, but yes, it has not been lenient at least. Yes, if you are lucky enough, you get some very good officers and they are considerate as to what your point is at least. But a lot of them, they are like, nothing is matching. Sir, understand one thing, when the law is implemented for the first time, half to majority of the people do not even understand the columns. कि क्या कॉलम में क्या जाएगा. Finally, अगर आपका टोटल लेवल पर चीजें मैच हो रहा है तो you should be considerate enough. A case that I just went to the department the day before yesterday. I told the officer that, sir, first year tha, there was a clerical error. So the client was not a GSTR 9 filer, so he has filed 17-18 ka details in 18-19. The officer responds back, इसका 3B1 GSTR 9 बुक्स ऑफ अकाउंट्स कुछ मैच नहीं हो रहा है, मैं नोटिस निकल रहा हूँ, तू अपील में देख लेना. I am like, sir, if for every bits and pieces मेरे को अपील करवाने लगाओगे तो सर काम क्या होगा फिर? He was not ready to even listen to the arguments, but then that is fine. He is like, I have done the assessment, I have made the order should reach to you by any point of time, you fight an appeal. I am like, sir, I am okay fighting an appeal. The client may not be. He's like, then ask the client to pay. So, clerical errors, as we always say, happen. But उसका अगर आप ये सिलसिला दोगे या ये रिजल्ट दोगे हमको कि आप अपील में देख लो सब चीजें, that is not appropriate at least. So when this gentleman on 10th February said this thing, we knew that this was the bad part. What is the good part then? It gives us an opportunity to increase our drafting. It also gives us an opportunity to understand how to prevent. Now, why I say how to prevent, it is because on 22nd of March 2022, the department came out with an SOP stating कि हम ऐसे तरीके से आपकी स्क्रूटिनीज, आपके असेसमेंट्स करने वाले हैं. या अगर आपने ये पर्टिकुलर पैरामीटर्स वायोलेट किए हैं तो आपको स्क्रूटिनी एंड असेसमेंट्स आएगा. Now this SOP is both prevention as well as cure. Why I say that it is both? It is because it will help us to prevent as to what not to do. It will also help us to understand as to what error we have committed and अब उसको क्या reply करना है या कैसे tackle करना. Brief of this SOP is very simple. 11 parameters है आपके पास में, 11 paragraphs है, out of which majorly are not on us, it is on the department. Para 3 is very important because it helps the department to understand क्या criteria है to select a case for scrutiny. अपने को क्या करना है? Department will come into scene later. We would come first. Professionals would come first. Ensure that we do not get into a trouble wherein we fit those criteria. जैसे बहुत सी बार क्लाइंट क्या बोलेगा 2BJ में जो दिखता है उससे एक्सेस क्रेडिट ले लो. A lot of clients would be like, "No, I have the invoice, I have everything, so why should I not claim credit?" Inform the client, sir, litigation होएगा. You would be receiving a notice. Are you okay with that? Majority of the clients would be like, नहीं sir, हम अभी पैसा भर देते हैं. But if we don't inform them, then there is a problem. For annexures, उसमें भी annexure B is quite the most crucial one. Because it gives you a comparison vis-a-vis कि ये टेबल से ये टेबल कंपेयर होगा, ये फॉर्म से ये फॉर्म में कंपेयर करने होगा. पैराग्राफ्स 1 to 13. फर्स्ट क्वेश्चंस फर्स्ट. अच्छा हाँ, अब तक मैंने आपसे सिर्फ एक ही क्वेश्चन पूछा है. Now it will be a time that I would be asking you all questions as well, because trust me, Amit Bhai and Anuj Bhai and as well as Sumit Bhai, whosoever has heard me in the past, they would all understand and appreciate that I cannot give a one-way session. I need some responses. So, वो questions आप पे अब आने वाले. If you look at this slide correctly, it would be giving you two major information. पहला, these are all interim measures. Now, what do you mean by the term interim? That they are not final. ठीक है? A good possibility के future में this provisions would be scrapped or this SOP would be drawn back, pulled out, and a final list of parameters would be given to the respective officers or the respective departments that these criteria are not fulfilled, issue a scrutiny notice. So why is this SOP issued? To ensure that there are uniformities. Okay. कि ऐसा नहीं हो कि एक प्लेस पे you are issuing a 2A versus 3B mismatch notice and at another place you are not issuing a notice at all. This should not happen. Therefore, they have taken up a standard measure. In this slide, it says that returns as well as related particulars should be looked upon. Return we all understand. Okay, or return, I will ask you a simple question. What do you mean by the term return? Answers can be GSTR 1, GSTR 9. What do you mean by the related particulars? GSTR 3B or GSTR 9? What can be written? What can be related prescribed particulars? It is a question for all of you. 3B is correct, but 3B is what? 3B is a return or 3B is a related prescribed particulars.
अब तो रिटर्न है.
अब तो रिटर्न है भारतीय एयरटेल का जजमेंट के बाद.
भारतीय का पता नहीं, इस गवर्नमेंट ने बैक डेट से रिटर्न बना दिया.
उसका कंक्लूडिंग स्टोन वाज भारतीय एयरटेल का जजमेंट बाय द ऑनरेबल सुप्रीम कोर्ट. Otherwise, पहले तो AAP and company respected Avinash Sir's decision was 3B is not a return.
Yes.
Yes. Yes. GSTR 1, I do not agree is a return. 3B is a return. 9AB is a return. Related particulars are 2A, 2B. Chalega. Perfect. 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 So I've got an answer. Majoritarily, everybody is of the point of view that 3B is a return. 9C is a return. Whereas आपके बाकी अदर चीज जैसे GSTR 1 हुआ, 2A हुआ, 2B हुआ, they are all related particulars. Base is your related particulars. Conclusion is the return. Keep this thing in your. Section 61 of the Act talks about scrutinies of returns. It tells you a very simple equation. You are the taxpayer, you are the adjudicating authority. Therefore, verify the correctness. अब correct का meaning क्या होता है? 1 + 1 = 2 is correct. or it tells me to look at things at a materiality level. Material mismatch नहीं होना चाहिए, या मेरे को 1 + 1 = 2 सब टाइम का चेक करना है. What do you mean by the term correct? अच्छा, just to give a brief out of the topic thing as well. जब भी आप ये जीएसटी में स्क्रूटनीज असेसमेंट्स चीज करना स्टार्ट करो ना, always also keep handy something about audits and accountancy, because बहुत से कॉन्सेप्ट्स है ना, आपको लगेंगे यार ये तो अकाउंटेंसी में कुछ और बोलते हैं. मैं जब ऑडिट फाइनलाइज करता हूँ ना, तो मैं ये चीजें चेक नहीं करता. क्यों? क्योंकि ऑडिट मेरे से ट्रू एंड फेयर व्यू मांगती है, ट्रू एंड करेक्ट व्यू नहीं मांगती ऑडिट मेरे से. जीएसटी वाला टेल्स मी ट्रू एंड करेक्ट होना चाहिए. अगर आप सेक्शन 35 ऑफ द CGSTI that talks about accounting and records डिस्कस करते हो, तो you will understand that it wants a true and correct view. अगर आप 9C सर्टिफिकेशन भी देखते हो, मतलब अभी तो खैर जा चुका है, बट पहले जब भी वो था इन प्लेस, it was also asking a true and correct view. It was never asking you a true and fair view. तो करेक्ट टर्म यहाँ पर इतना सिग्निफिकेंस क्यों है? Can anybody answer? चलो, I'll only answer. The term correct is extremely crucial because what are we trying to evaluate? If you look at section 6 purely from the department's point of view, अपने point of view से तो है नहीं है सेक्शन. डिपार्टमेंट क्या इवैल्यूएट कर रहा है? करेक्ट है कि नहीं है. अब डिपार्टमेंट अगर ये करेक्ट है कि नहीं इवैल्यूएट कर रहा है, it will always say 1 + 1 = 2. If you say nahi Nihal, 3 - 1 is also equal to 2, department is like, I don't consider that calculation. It has to be 1 + 1 = 2. I hope I have understood it and explained it in a appropriate way. Discrepancy notice. क्या करेंगे? क्या करेंगे? They would give you a notice. Nihal, return भरा, गलती हुआ. Explain what is the error. Okay. What is that notice? That notice is nothing but your GST ASMT 10. आपको ASMT 10 आ गया. अब क्या करोगे? आप उसका रिप्लाई दोगे. If you are enough, because let me tell you one from my own personal experience. I in the past say 15 days I have filed 4 appeals. In the 4 appeals, only one client was awake enough to actually give a reply to GST ASMT 10. बाकी सब सो रहे थे. ASMT 10 का कोई रिस्पॉन्स नहीं किया. जब आप ASMT 10 का रिस्पॉन्स नहीं करोगे, फॉर श्योर है क्या होएगा? The department will proceed with whatever data they have on records. So ASMT 10 का reply is always to be done. I reply, it is always to be replied upon. It gives you an upper hand. Why? It is because you had tried to explain, but he considered your explanations. And when you don't reply at all, it is like, we gave you an opportunity. Yes. Did you reply? No. Whose fault? Mine. The department, the other taxpayers' fault. So never come in court. अब ASMT 10 का reply किसमें जाएगा? ASMT 11 में. It can either be accepted or it can be rejected. अब ज्यादा मैं bare X डिस्कस नहीं करूंगा, क्योंकि मैंने इसको भी आप लोगों के लिए एक अच्छे से चार्ट में प्रेजेंट करके रखा हूं. अच्छा, if I have to ask you all a very simple question, स्क्रूटिनी का मीनिंग क्या होता है? Is it defined in the act? No, it is not. It अच्छा, एक और चीज, अगर कुछ चीज एक्ट में नहीं होगी तो उसका कौन सा मीनिंग लेने का? basic meaning, general meaning is to be understood out of it. Generally, scrutiny means critical observations or examination or common parlance. Correct. Common parlance में scrutiny means I will scan each of your transactions. Under the GST Act, scrutiny क्या चीज की होएगी? दो चीज की. Returns and related particulars. 3B9. Related particulars, I can also go one step ahead and say आपका sales register हुआ, purchase register है. Even those can be your related particulars. See, ideally, if we live in an ideal world, data of your sales register will match with your GSTR1, that is your outward supply ka details, and that outward supply ka details will ideally match with your 3B. If there is a mismatch in 1 and 3B, at that point of time, at least your sales register and your 1 should match. Agar 1 and sales register is also not matching, then there surely is something that needs to be done, either from an accounting perspective or from a data entry perspective. I hope I am clear. 99 is nothing but copy pasted of section 61 plus insertion of forms and time limits. It is because when you read 61, it says that in a form and manner as may be prescribed. And when you come down and read your rule 99, it says ASMT 10 आपको issue होगा and you have to reply. What is the maximum time limit? 30 days from the date of service of the notice. I have not seen any ASMT 10 giving a time limit of 30 days. Because in most cases, at least to what I have seen, हर एक ASMT 10 में है ना आपका time limit specified होता है that you need to reply within 7 days, you need to reply within 8 days, 9 days, 10 days, so on and so forth. अब तक 30 days का time limit I have not seen. If anybody of the listeners have, I would love to see that notice at least once. कब तक reply करना है आपको? 30 days from the service of notice. Remember the date, it is date of service of notice. If it is possible, the department is also expected that they should be quantifying the amount of tax, interest and any other amount as well. Again, to the extent it is possible. Good possibility that the department will only give you a blanket standard answer. Suppression of facts without drawing any references to anything. Possibility? Yes. Ideally, should such a notice be issued? No. But yes. I can say yes because I have seen it personally. ASMT 10 आया, आपने reply दिया. ASMT 11 में if the officer feels it is good enough, he gives you out a concluding notice. अब ये जो पूरा का पूरा discussion है, I can summarize it up in a single slide, which reads something like this. The department will communicate to the taxpayer. The taxpayer then has two options. Either he pays the amount or he furnishes an explanation. If he pays the amount, well and good, the matter is over. Pay कैसे होएगा DRC 03 में? Pay करने के बाद क्या करने का? Don't sleep. After paying this amount, file a GST ASMT 11 that I have paid this amount already. So once you file that amount, once you inform it to the department, then you can relax. Then what is the department expected to do? कि आज जब आपने amount pay कर दिया, तो they are supposed to give you a closure notice. That closure notice is GST ASMT 12. The taxpayer says, I will not pay the amount because I have done nothing wrong. So what is the thing? Explain. Now, how would you explain? You would be explaining in GST ASMT 11, which can be accepted or which can be rejected. If it is accepted, ASMT 12 आ जाएगा. If it is rejected, either of the things will happen. Either a departmental audit would be conducted, Now, when I say audit, it can mean a general audit as well as a special audit. और आपको 73, 74 का शो कॉज आ जाएगा. The worst thing that can happen is a search, inspection or a seizure. Now, to my little understanding of the law, search, inspection and seizure are too harsh an action. Ideally, one should be starting off with audit, then moving to a show cause. But then that is how I read the law. What are the parties to the transaction? Two, superintendent or the taxpayer. Taxpayer can be either direct or it can be via the authorized representative. Now, as I always say that, the department has a lot of information with them. DGARM का details, they have EDVIT का details, they have GSTN से जो details आता है वो, they have e-way bill का details. A real life example, in the month of March, last week, one of my reference, I got a client. DG GST had issued a notice to me. I went on to that hearing. Sir, kya hua? He's like, Nihal, he has made foreign remittances. I said, okay. Well, sir, how did you get an information? He's like, Nihal, we have his 15 CA, 15 CB with us. What is form 15 CA, 15 CB? Basically, foreign remittances ka form. So, Nihal, what he has done is he has imported service. On import of service, he has not discharged the RCM liability. He has made out the foreign remittances and therefore we conducted a search seizure at his place. I asked him, sir, direct search seizure? He is like, when did you get the client? I said, sir, last night. He's like, did you get the time to study him? I said, no. He's like, just check his GSTR 1 and GSTR 3B. You will understand why directly a search was initiated. I said, sir, why? I asked him only. He's like, Nihal, GSTR 1 is nil, GSTR 3B is nil. So as per the client, no tax is payable. And RCM per tax import per RCM lagta hai. This is basics of law. This cannot be sideborne. Like, so that is correct. That is the reason a direct search can also be initiated. Now remember one thing, even your 15CA, 15CB can be a document. Third para, it gives you a beautiful meaning to the entire SOP. It says, because GST and portal is dynamic, because this act is dynamic, because everything related to this act is dynamic, information may change. Is it correct? Yes. Want a live example? Get a live example. You have a client, say Amit Bhai. Now Amit Bhai's vendor, say Sumit Bhai. He did not file his returns. So when Sumit sir did not file his return at all, Amit sir would have obviously not seen anything in his 2A. Amit sir got a notice that, hey, your vendor has not filed his 2A, his GSTR 1 and 3B, and therefore reverse your ITC. Amit Bhai gave a call to Sumit sir. Sumit sir, please file. Sumit sir is like, yes, doing it right away. Sumit sir filed all his return today on 4th of July 2022. Say the notice was issued on 4th of June 2022. Say the notice was issued on 1st of June 2022. Now what will happen? Has the information changed? Yes, no. Has the information changed? Yes. The information has changed. Now Anuj sir is the officer. Which information to consider? old one, new one. SOP says rely on the latest available data. पुराना इंफॉर्मेशन जब मैंने टू वे डाउनलोड किया मेरे को ये अमाउंट दिख रहा है. If somebody responds like this, what is your answer to it? Sir, para 3 of your SOP says that you need to consider the latest available data. Therefore, जब आपने डाउनलोड किया नहीं दिख रहा था, अब दिख रहा है. सर अब दिख रहा है ना, अभी का डेटा कंसिडर करो. Let bygones be bygones. Who is the proper officer? The superintendent of the CGST, or the superintendent is the proper officer. Now this para will give you a nick as to how to handle this audit. Why? Just read para 5.2. What is it saying? It says that the proper officer shall conduct scrutiny pertaining to minimum 3 GSTN per month. 3 GSTN per month. Scrutiny of returns, and it shall scrutinize all the returns pertaining to a financial year for the said GSTN. अब मेरे को एक आप बात बताओ, आपको अगर बोला जाए 10 दिन के अंदर एक साल के पूरे जीएसटी डिटेल्स अपलोड करो, is it sufficient time? Is the time sufficient? If somebody tells you that upload say 12 GST and returns in a period, in a month's time, in 10 days time, is it sufficient? No. At least मेरी तो वर्किंग भी खत्म नहीं होगी 12 महीने की अगर मेरे को 10 दिन में अपलोड करना बोले. डिपार्टमेंट के पास में कितना टाइम है, और द प्रॉपर ऑफिसर हैज हाउ मच टाइम? ही हैज 10 days टाइम. सो वुड ही बी इन अ हरी? घाई करेगा वो सब चीज की? यस. सो जब वो सब चीज की घाई करने वाला है, व्हाट इज द बेस्ट थिंग दैट वी कैन डू? एंड not giving a reply is not the best thing that you can do. So अगर कुछ आया है तो do reply, but what is the best reply to do? If somebody can give me a hint. क्या करोगे? I'll tell you what I will do. Yeah, what I do. I prepare a summary. ठीक है, एक शॉर्ट समरी बनती है. लायबिलिटी डिस्चार्ज इन 3B, लायबिलिटी डिस्चार्ज इन 3B, लायबिलिटी डिस्चार्ज इन 3B फॉर बोथ आउटवर्ड सप्लाईज एज वेल एज आईटीसी. नाउ एटलीस्ट आई एम इन कंट्रोल कि क्या मंथ में एक्चुअल एरर्स है, बिकॉज आई एम श्योर nobody will make an error in all the months and nobody will file all the months GST returns correctly. If it is happening, say it is one of a rare situation, but at least to my experience I have not seen this thing happen कि या तो सब गलत भरा या सब सही भरा. Is to be done. Seek additional time. Yes, a good answer, but understand when they are under pressure they would not give you additional time. Chalo, because somebody has given this answer, I'll discuss a brief about my personal case. Sir, can I? Real life. Amritsar?
Yes, sir.
Chalo. So, this case that happened with me. One of my client, construction sector, he got a notice that we have selected your case for scrutinies and all, वो जो standard format में आता है वो मिल गया. You are required to appear before us on this particular date. What we thought? We seeked time. Sir, you have given out a reply to us on or a notice on say Friday. You have asked us to appear on Monday. So it is practically not possible for us to appear on Monday. Why it was practically not possible? It is because Saturdays and Sundays, usually we have holidays. And there is no point in standing before the officer and making a fool of yourself. Agar aapko lagta hai you are not prepared for the notice, don't appear. Seek time. We gave a simple reply. Best part, Monday, 11 a.m. was the time for us to appear. We did not. At 1 p.m. on Monday itself, we received a show cause. Okay? We had given you adequate time to appear. You did not appear. And therefore, we feel that it is appearing, say it is nearing time barring. Therefore, we have issued you a show cause. Fight and appeal against this thing. Or first page pe likha hota hai that say an appeal against this order shall lie at this place. This may happen if you seek time, because they are time bound. उनको 10 दिन में close करना है तो करना है. Unfair on us, yes, but we can't help. So, is this a sufficient time provided? No. What is the best thing to do? Prepare a summary and submit it. Sir, ये महीने में gap है, ये महीने में gap है, ये महीने में gap. It saves our time firstly, and then it saves the department's time. अब para 6 talks about कि हमने आपको indicative list दी है. Now, when I say that this is an indicative list, what do I mean by it? Exhaustive नहीं है. It is not a complete list. ये सिर्फ एक parameters है कि देख ले. निहाल, check if it is violated, a notice may be issued. If it is fulfilled, no notice would be issued. Again, I repeat, this is merely an indicative list and it is not exhaustive. I'll ask you all a simple question. Say एक taxpayer or a firm is there that is promoted by Nirav Modi, Mr. Nirav Modi. He is more likely to receive scrutiny notices or he is less likely to receive scrutiny notices. The names taken are just for the sake of example because they are live in discussion. More likely or less likely?
More likely.
He is more likely to receive. And I believe there is one more respected Jagjit Singh sir. One firm is promoted by Jagjit Singh. Looking at the name of the promoter, more likely or less likely?
Less likely, sir.
Less likely. So understand that ये भी एक parameter है उनके पास में to evaluate how would your compliances be. Now you know there was a concept Sadhyo Purana when this act came that we would be issuing you a GST compliance ratings. That was a stepping stone या baby step कि अगर आप compliant हो ना आपको notice कम है. If you are not compliant आपको notice ज़्यादा है. अब एक और चीज पूछता हूं मैं आपसे, बोलता तो नहीं पूछता जरूर. You are a person who is issuing scrutiny notices और आप दो लोगों का डेटा चेक कर रहे हैं. Say one is Anuj sir and one is Amit sir. Anuj sir has filed all his return on time. Amit sir has filed all his returns late. Who is more likely to get a notice? The second one, Amit sir is more likely. सर आपको तो कुछ भी करवा सकता है, आपको तो इनफैक्ट जेल भी भिजवा दूंगा.
सर टाइम पे काम करा करो.
नहीं सर, निहाल जी जेल मत भिजवाना, वो दो निकल नहीं पा रहे हैं तो हम भी अंदर ही रह जाएंगे.
So why am I discussing all such points is कि उन्होंने तो चलो लिस्ट ऑफ पैरामीटर्स आपको दे दी है, बट ये सब भी क्रूशियल है. एंड वन मोर थिंग, आई नो आई एम टॉकिंग इन द स्टेट ऑफ हरियाणा. So Haryana SGST has also given out a specific list we cannot be discussing that. So sorry for it. It is because ये जो list है ना, to my understanding it is a Bible. के ये basis है. आपने एक base लिया, फिर आपने और qualitative features पे play किया. जैसे promoters पे, जो आपका बोलते हैं ना return filers पे. So you have played upon those things. Now, as far as possible, there should be least interface between the proper officer and the registered person, which means the officer who is scrutinizing should not be calling the taxpayer to his office. Practically batana, is this happening? Cases that I have handled, no. I'll tell you the way that we are being called at least. Section 70 एक समन आता है हमारे पास में. समन में क्या लिखा होता है? टू से XYZ पर्सन, नीचे उसका एड्रेस, उसके नीचे लिखा रहता है टू टेंडर ओरल एविडेंसेस. Now what is the evidence that you want? No mention. However, to tender oral evidences, you are required to appear before the undersigned authority. अब आपको चाहिए क्या पता नहीं, लेकिन आपने समन कर दिया हमको. और एक और चीज, वी आर ऑल ऑथोराइज्ड रिप्रेजेंटेटिव, बट याद रखना अगर समन में देयर इज अ स्पेस गिवन कि ऑथोराइज्ड रिप्रेजेंटेटिव कैन अपीयर, प्लीज ओनली देन गो एंड अपीयर. If it is not written in the summon that you or your authorized representative can appear, as chartered accountant, as a younger brother to you, a humble request from my side is do not go and appear such summons, wherein you do not have the authority to represent somebody. Otherwise, what will happen? Information jayega and that summons would be treated as unappeared. So as a younger brother that I am requesting you, please do not do that. Now, and read the next line. And there should normally not be any need to call for informations or records before issuance of ASMT 10. Which means the SOP is very clear. You are the department, हो ना, आपके पास इंफॉर्मेशन है ना, है, उसके बेसिस पे आप ASMT 10 इशू करो. टैक्स पेयर से डेटा मत मंगाते बैठो बार बार. Am I clear? I hope I am. ASMT 10 should it be vague? जनरल कुछ भी ASMT 10 उठा के बेच दिया आपको, चलेगा? एटलीस्ट वो स्पेसिफिक होना चाहिए. I mean, आपने स्टैंडर्ड कॉपी पेस्ट सबको भेज रहे हो, इसको भी भेज देते, चलो. Such ASMT 10s should not be receiving, and understand as far as possible it has to be specific and not general. Specific, I'll give you an example. The outward supplies as disclosed in GSTR 1 is more than as disclosed in GSTR 3B. This can be treated as a specific notice. एक ASMT 10 आया, suppression of facts, a simple 3 words, suppression of facts. Is this a specific notice? ये general notice भेज दिया आपने मेरे भाई, क्या suppress किया? At least inform me that. Now you understand, of the year, of the total year, a single compiled one ASMT 10 is to be issued. I'm sure at the ground level we are seeing it is not being followed, but then again that is how it is. अब मेरे को एक बात बताओ, Jagjit sir had written furnished in 1718. He had some liability which was not disclosed. So he completed his audit in 1819. He made the payment using GST DRC 03. ठीक है, liability paid, matter closed. Should department consider that or they should not be considering it? Liability pay कर चुके हैं,
considering.
It should be considered.
Right.
That is what specifically para 6 of your notices or of your SOP says. कि अगर टैक्स पेयर ने अगले साल में जाकर लायबिलिटी डिस्क्लोज कर दी है ना, देख कंसिडर कर and then only give out that notice. Do not waste anybody's time because time is precious. Picking up a pen to reply to the notice, always check circular number 3105/2018. Now, why this circular is so important? It is because ये circular बताता है कौन से टैक्स ऑफिसर को कितनी अमाउंट तक का राइट है नोटिस इशू करने का. सुपरिटेंडेंट ऑफ CGST cannot issue you a notice of 10 crores rupees. It is not in his jurisdiction to do so. अब अगर उसके jurisdiction में नहीं है तो ये आपको पता होना चाहिए ना. तो वो पता कहां से चलेगा? सर्कुलर 35/2018 से. Summarized view is something like this. Superintendent है 10 lakhs. If it is purely C, if it is C plus I, the limit is obviously double हो जाएगा आपको. So अगर 1 crore के ऊपर का अमाउंट आता है तो it is only the additional or the joint commissioner जो नोटिस इशू करने वाला है आपको. अगर an officer other than that is issuing, the notice is void. The notice is void. इसका रिप्लाई क्या जाता है? एक सिंपल वन लाइनर. As per circular number 3105/2018 dated 9th February, the officer issuing this notice does not have the authority to do so. First, यहाँ पर आकर a lot of people they are frightened. निहाल उसकी ऑथोरिटी पर क्वेश्चन रेस किया, भड़क जाएगा, ईगो हर्ट हो जाएगा. Okay, if you do not raise this point now and you do the replies, do not raise it at any point in future as well. Why? Because it is a well settled principle of law. If you do not raise an objection at the first place, you regularize it. अगर एक बार रेगुलराइज कर दिया ना, फ्यूचर में जाकर ये मत बोलना है आपकी अथॉरिटी नहीं थी. If you can say it then, you should be able to say it now as well. Timelines for scrutinies can be ignored because that is not binding on us. It is for the department. Now reporting and monitoring. It is 755. Okay. Annexures A to D. बात बताओ, ये स्क्रूटिनी शेड्यूल है. Annexure B जो है ना, more or less that gives you an indicative list के parameters क्या होंगे. Now when I say parameters क्या होंगे, what I have done is I have removed out a printout of it and जहां पर मैं बैठता हूँ उसके मेरे wall के सामने लगा के रख दिया मैंने. On a very simple understanding, this will help me prevent any future notice. क्यों? अच्छा, I am not discussing the text of it. I am only discussing it in brief. क्यों? क्योंकि मेरे को एक because अमित भाई requested me कि निहाल also guide us के reply कैसे बनाना है, तो मैं वो भी touch upon करना है. So that is the reason I am not discussing it word by word. So मैं holistically discuss करता हूँ. GSTR 1 versus GSTR 3B. GSTR 1 versus GSTR 3B. Comparison will happen surely. 100%. Which tables to refer? GSTR 1 is an elaborated details of sales. So they said we'll refer table 4, but will not refer 4B. Why 4B is excluded? It is because it is your supplies, taxable under reverse charge. You want an example of it? अपना खुद का CA field का example देता हूँ. You want an example of it that a CA service can be taxable under both reverse charge as well as forward charge. An example. So the example is this. Say Jagjit sir. Jagjit sir is appointed as an independent director in one of a listed public entity. He is appointed as an independent director. Now, because he is appointed as an independent director, he would obviously be receiving something called as sitting fees. Okay. Forget director's remuneration. I am not going into director's remuneration. I am purely on sitting fees. Jagjit sir is also a CA in practice and he files GST returns for a lot of his clients. Now tell me, the GST return filing, it will be purely under FCM, and the sitting fees that he has received, that would be taxable under RCM to the company, because it is a payment made by a body corporate to a director.
RCM under
Yes, that is RCM. Sitting fees would be under RCM. Okay. So now when Jagjit sir files his individual GST returns, how would he disclose it? Say 10,000 rupees GST or return filing fees, FCM, table 4A, assuming it is B2B. Under 4B would be the sitting fees details. So what would be the return of Jagjit sir would be looking like? 4A, B2B returns. 4B, reverse supplies taxable under reverse charge. I hope I am clear. Table 5 is again intrastate, and yeah, this is all about GSTR1. When you go and check 3B, okay, now 3B, table 3A, outward supplies other than zero rated, nil exempted, and B, that is zero rated, that is basically your exports. If there is a mismatch between them, what will happen? A notice would be thrown. Respect to RCM, you first make the payment and you then claim input tax credit of it. I hope we are all on the same page for this. You have made a payment of say 100 rupees and you have claimed ITC of say 150 rupees. SOP says that this may amount to short payment. True? Maybe. False? Maybe. Why I say false? Maybe. Till last year's audit, I was seeing up cases wherein RCM paid in the current month was claimed as ITC in the next month. Old practice of central excise service tax was being followed. If that is the case, now for sure your 3B's disclosure is not changing. 3B mein wahi disclose hoga at the same spot. But if that is the principle that you have followed, and in a month the payment of ITC is lower, payment of RCM is lower, what will happen? ITC, the amount claimed in ITC would be higher, and therefore a probable notice may turn up. Now all such comparisons have to be done net of amendments. What do you mean by the term amendment? Achha, what are the types of amendment? Increase or decrease in sales, correct. See, what I understand is that any amendment can be bifurcated into two major parts. First is your qualitative amendment and second is your quantitative amendment. Qualitative amendment is a particular supplies was required to be disclosed as B2B. You made an error. You did it as B2C. Quantitative amendment is increase or decrease of your sales liability. Net of this comparison has to be done. tax, cess paid, liable to reverse charge, that again I believe I have already covered it. One thing that is important for all of us to understand, it is a good possibility that a particular supply of yours is liable under reverse charge, but the supplier is not registered. Say for example, GT making 100% supplies under reverse charge, not required to be registered. Then in those cases, the liability that is auto-populated should always, the ITC that you claim should always either match with your payment or should be lower than it. Zyada nahi ho sakta. 2 is again net of amendments, 3B is okay. Now this is a crucial element, all other ITCs. If we look at the form GSTR 3B, per se GSTR 3B, we understand that we can claim ITC for a lot of things. RCM, as well as FCM, as well as received from ISD, Input Service Distributors. First, ITC under RCM, done and dusted. ISD, done and dusted. Now, it is the residual category. Now, how to check it? They say refer your 2A. 2A referred? Referred. Under that 2A, there would be a column wherein you would be getting whether yes or no. Basically, that column discusses your RCM liability. If it is yes, it is your RCM liability that is it. If it is no, it is your normal forward charge liability that is supposed to be. Wherever it is yes, you need to consider those. Sorry. Wherever there is no return, you need to consider only those. वहां पर yes का meaning होता है that the liability is that it is a liability under reverse charge. Section 51, 52. E-way bill. E-way bill. When I discussed about types of probable notices that we receive from a lot of my friends in, say, Patna, Jharkhand, they said that, Nihal, here we consume a lot. You people are in Maharashtra, Delhi, Gujarat, you people say do a lot of outward supplies. That is basically your production and manufacturing is high. Whereas states like Patna, Bihar, they have a lot of consumption. And therefore, you people are generating outward e-way bills, we receive. The liability that is generated as per the e-way bill portal obviously would be more. If you do an adjustment in GSTR 1, is that possible to happen factually? Yes. Why I say yes? Aapne e-way bill, you generated the e-way bill. Okay. So once that e-way bill is generated, what will happen? It cannot be cancelled after a particular timeline, after say 72 hours. Your agreement got cancelled. Did not ship, your agreement got cancelled, or you shipped and the materials came back. So here obviously your credit note would be issued. The liability that is appearing on your portal as per the e-way bill portal would obviously be higher than what you would be discharging it in your 3B. Practically possible? Yes. Be ready for a reconciliation. Point number 7. Okay. Before discussing point number 7, I'll tell you one thing. The only thing that can save us from any adverse impact under this act is reconciliation, reconciliation, reconciliation. To the extent possible, prepare out a reconciliation for anything and everything on this earth when it is GST per se. Point number 7, I say is one of the worst made points that could have ever been introduced in my say professional career at least. It says that when the registration of a person is cancelled retrospectively, okay, and I'm very particular on it, cancelled retrospectively, all your ITCs would be denied from that particular supplier or from that particular vendor. I'll tell you why. It is because, say for example, I had discussed this with one of my Delhi colleagues. He is like, Nihal, I was filing returns regularly till December 2021. Then was say cancelled in June 2022. Say before a day or before only. It was cancelled retrospectively from July 17. And now all the vendors that I have supplied are receiving a notice. Your ITC is overclaimed, please reverse. Your ITC is overclaimed, please reverse. Appropriate? No. Should such, what to say, notices be ideally issued as well? No. But to our sadness, we are receiving such. So therefore, I say that out of the entire SOP, if I have to pick out the worst point, it has to be point number 7 of this annexure. Now this is ineligible ITC, that is okay. An important thing that we may miss out for the year 17-18, the last date as per section 16.4 was March 2019's return and not September 2018's return. Please keep this thing in your ready notes whenever you sit to draft a reply. 40-43 ka reversals has to be done. Okay. So if I have to give you out a summary as to all types of notices, a beautiful summary, 1 versus 3B, 1 versus 9, e-way bill versus 1, 2A versus 3B, so on and so on. Annexure C and D can be ignored. Nothing to do with us. It is all the department's internal report. Before going on how to draft a reply, if there are any queries as of now, I can take it. Or if the chairman sir says, Nihal, tu pura apna deliberations khatam kar le, we'll take up the queries at the end, I can do that as well.
Sir, better to take it at the end of the session.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir. Perfect. Now, important things to consider. And yeah, this was obviously asked, and say I was obviously asked by Amritsar to give this part of the deliberation. So all the listeners should at least thank Amritsar for this thing, because this was obviously not a part of my deliberation for today. But because Amritsar asked, I said, let us do that as well. Important things to consider. Read point number 1 the times you can. I repeat, do not write a letter that you do not want to read. Please don't. We understand that, we get angry at times. At times we get emotional. At times we feel agitated. At times, say bad things happen with us. Still control all of it and do not write a letter that you would not want to read. Now, why I say this, it is because a lot of times our language is harsh. It is very harsh. If we receive such a letter, we would obviously lose our mind as well. That ye kya likh rahe ho? See, ultimately, it is a communication that happens between two people. If you abuse somebody or if you say bad to somebody, the other person will reciprocate. Because nobody of us sitting over here is the father of the nation, Mr. Mahatma Gandhi, that if you hit somebody on one cheek, he would offer the second one. Nobody of us have that much calm. He would reciprocate, and once he reciprocates it back, you would only be say catching your head and sitting. Yaar, ek din late reply kar deta. Let us not get into that trap. The first thing, and yeah, these important points to consider are all mine. This is what I do when I sit out and draft a reply. So this is that thing that I personally follow. Understand the facts. What is the fact? Why this notice is received? Understand the facts. Why this notice is received is the first thing that you should understand. Then list down the facts chronologically. First day, this thing happened. Then I received this. Then this came. Then this came. And that is how I have received the final concluding things. Isko read it. Read it once again. Read it as many times as you can. Why I ask people to read it is, I believe Jatin sir had said in his first address for this webinar itself, facts are something that cannot be disputed, or rather that should not be disputed at all. So never go wrong on your facts. Ye hua hai sir. Right, wrong, let us discuss it in our grounds. But ye hua zarur hai sir. Pick out the first communication as you received from the department. In one of my cases that I had received, an ASMT 10 was issued without any annexure to it, wherein that ASMT 10 was clearly mentioning that a notice is there. Sorry, that an annexure is existing. When I received it, there was no annexure to it. It will help you in drafting a proper report. And understand what is the type of communication that has come to your table. Whether notice hai, whether it is an audit notice, whether it is a show cause, or whether it is a summon. Why? All of it has to be replied differently. One more thing that I would like to raise it here is also understand the authority that has issued it. It is because if it is issued by the central authority, you will appreciate that DIN is compulsory to them. If it is issued by a state authority, that DIN is not compulsory. This is issued by center without DIN and you have not raised it. Whose error? Mine. Notice is issued by a state and you said DIN is not there. By my listeners, he is not supposed to issue a DIN. So it is not there, it is fine. It is appropriate. But you should be aware about it. क्या ऐसा भी होता है कुछ. And one more thing, when I say, also understand whether central or state, because the language that you can use for central cannot be used for state. And I am very categoric about it. You cannot use the same draftings. They have to change. Those have to be toned down or toned up. Then dissect that notice, word by word, amount by amount, table by table. Live my appeal, the first notice that we received. Under that, the amount was only appearing in the SGST tab, interest column. I am very particular. कहाँ पर दिख रहा था? SGST tab, interest column. When that notice got finally, that ASMT 10 got converted into DRC 07, or rather DRC 01A for the first matter, that interest got converted to tax. So हुआ ये, under ASMT 10, you say only interest is due. The taxpayer was a sleeping taxpayer. He did not bother to reply to A7010. And suddenly, without any communication, you realize, no, tax is also due. That is not possible. Why? Because for you to change the data, you need something on record. Is it there? No. Therefore, that data cannot be changed. It will help you dissect it. Todo. Take up 3 days to read that notice, but take your time. If any element is missing in that notice from the department side, raise it immediately. Just as the first example that I gave. Under that, what was not there? That annexure was missing. So we raised, sir, annexure is missing. Therefore, we are not in a position to reply to your A7010. Raise and do it at the appropriate time. I again repeat, Circular 31 says superintendent cannot issue you an amount of more than 10 lakhs. You receive a notice for 20 lakhs. Sorry, for say 1 crore. Signed by the superintendent. Raise it at that point of time. Roughly then list out. Okay, after doing so much of say brainstorming, reply bhi banana hai and we have to submit it as well. List. As per your understanding. What may be used, what may not be used. Now say for example, it is an error of GST 2A versus 3B mismatch. I will quote 32, section 38 and 42. Amritsar may feel nahi quote karna mere ko. It is okay. You don't quote. But at least when you are writing something, write it down. That I would be using section 16, I would be using section 18, I would be using 38, 42. Yeah, my year rules use karunga. Rough, very rough. Once you are done using that rough cuts, then draft your first cut. Obviously, in the first cut that you are drafting, if you get down the facts properly, consider that as an achievement. Because when I sit and draft, a lot of time what happens is, you feel that this is factual, but it can be, say, presented better. So if you get the facts right, beautiful. Draft your first cut. Read it. If you are, say, a decent professional, you would find I can do better. Obviously, you would miss something. If it is missed, prepare it. Say, for example, in one of my notices that the appeal that I am talking about, I understood that it is a matter of 1718 disclosed in 1890. Factually simple. But the client was not having reconciliations. So what we did it, asked him which month is missing or which month may you have disclosed. He says, sir, July. We said, prepare out a reconciliation. Wherein July month sales as per books and what you have disclosed in 3B. The difference of it, I repeat, the difference of it should match them. Agar wahan par the difference is not matching, then you are at God's mercy. But ideally, the difference should match. Prepare it immediately. Your second cut is ready. What to do? Acha. I am sure a lot of us, and obviously everybody senior to me out here. So I'll go back to my student days. And when I was a student, I used to answer things like this. First, I used to write facts. Then I used to write section numbers and rule numbers. And then I used to give a correlation or a comparison. That fact says this, section says this, applying this section to my fact, this is the conclusion. Holistically done. Now understand it with a live example. Credit claimed is more in 3B. You have valid invoice. The supplier has made an error in disclosing your details. Obviously, for the year 17-18, a rectification cannot or an amendment cannot be filed now. Therefore, what you do, you quote section 16 and you say, I have a valid tax invoice. The tax is already paid. I have received the goods and services. Therefore, I have claimed credit. Fact was, you have claimed excess credit. How did you compare? You compare it with the conditions of section 16 and then you get a reply to it. Obviously, if there are more supporting rules and that, you can go on adding, but this was a basic example. Read the second cut. Read it. Then you would be, finding a lot of mischiefs. And when I say mischiefs, I say case laws and citations. See, add it only if it is required. I'll tell you why I am pissed off by these points. On an average, at least 3 calls. Nihal, this is the matter. Case laws bhejo. Send us a list of case laws. Actually, if you are not able to explain facts, forget about you being able to explain a case law. I am very categorical on it. If you do not understand the facts, what will you explain it via the case law? And whenever you write down the case law, you never write that the fact is same. You will always write that the fact is similar to our case. What is the difference between same and similar? Same. Acha. Does anybody sitting in the audience feel that same and similar mean ditto same? Yes, no? Same means ditto, correct? Correct. Same means it is exactly same. Word to word, fact to fact, detail to detail. Similar means ऐसा मिलता जुलता है. Say for example, blue marker and black marker. They both do the same function, right? But they are not same. A blue marker with a broken cap and a blue marker with a proper cap are same. Not a blue and a black marker. So case laws are required. Consider, but only if it is actually required. And to my experience, I'll tell you, and even most of the seniors would agree. At the superintendent level, at the commissioner appeals level, to an extent, even at the appellate tribunal levels, they would not even go to the case laws. They are more towards the facts. It is because when I was a student, I was told to mug up this line. Tribunal is the final fact-finding authority. Okay. My law professor always used to come into the class. His first statement was, Tribunal is the final fact-finding authority. He is not worried about the the case laws. He is more worried about the facts. फिर भी नहीं, everybody wants case law, दे दो, case law, दे दो, case law, दे दो. For what? I don't understand. Anyways, I am not here to rant. Point number 16. Garbage in is beyond our control. Garbage out is not. Now, why I say this? A lot of times when we read notice, you would understand kuch bhi hai. It is like it is absolutely vague. Is it in our control? Can we do anything of it? No. Why? Because the notice is drafted by the skill set of the undersigned. Some people are skilled, some people are not skilled. Some people are decent enough. You do not have that control. But you are skilled. You are expected to be skilled. Therefore, when you draft out a reply, understand that it should not be a garbage reply. See, we always say, he is writing anything and giving it to us. Let us answer in his own language. Please, with my folded hands, I say, do not do that. You are a professional. You are a person who is expected to be apt, lucid, and appropriate. Understand the mindset of the signing authority, that is the adjudicating authority. It is very crucial. a lot of officers feel that we are all thieves. And a lot of officers feel that no, we are a catalyst. A catalyst role is to gather information from one party, process it, give it to the other party in the form that he wants. Ideally, we should be catalysts. We should be treated like one. But if the undersigned feels otherwise, play it on him. Do not think everybody feels that we are thieves, and do not feel everybody thinks that we are catalysts as well. Be very dynamic in your approach. Be crystal clear in your communications. If you feel that this point in appeal would cause an error, communicate to the client department. Because facts would be cleared. Facts cannot be hidden. And I am sure if you go out and make a blunder in facts, the appeal is bound to be rejected, saying facts are not clear. Let us not get into that. Point number 19 is something that I don't know how many of you do. At least I do it always. Always get your work reviewed. Once you have filled, once aapko lag gaya that yes, now I can submit it, get it reviewed from somebody else. Why? You might have skipped the point, or you might have elaborated it more than that is required. That person would tone it down. That person would reduce it. Third, the most important point, whenever you are submitting, before submission, read it like you are the department. With the mindset that the person who is drafting it is a thief. Become the most pessimist person on this planet. And then read that reply. You would understand a lot of things that you have missed. At least when I feel now that I have done my best reply, and when I read it like a department, I understand this is missing, this is missing, this is missing. Let us rework. Improvise, and then your final letter is ready. And when I say this, remember, no matter how good you be, no matter how best you draft, you would always feel like it can be improvised. But we all work in a time-bound manner. At one point of time, that line has to be cut. Bus, improvisation is done. Now let us move and submit. Point number 22. Again, I emphasize, request, do not write a letter that you would not want to read. Please. Things to consider are over. Things to avoid as well. Amit bhai, sorry. Do not adopt a template practice. Okay, because every matter is different. Every fact is different. Do not adopt a template practice. But yes, what you can do is, if it is a 2-3B, I would be invoking section 16, section 38, section 42. That can be said. Reply, Nihal bhai, bana ke bhej do, main chipka deta hu aage. Please, please, please avoid. Question in writing, bhavnaon mein, please don't flow. Please be sensible enough in your reply. Attachment while writing. I love section 16. This is my favorite line. Good, appreciated. Do not bring it out in black and white. If you actually are attached to that topic, trust me, the way you would draft it would be fact analysis, fact section analysis of the book. That is where your real attachment will come out. Personal relations with the client. He is my brother. Okay. He is like my brother. Okay. Do not bring it out with the department. Why? Because to the department, he is just like another SSC. He has got nothing to do with it. Anger from the department. Now, this obviously slide was prepared when, Gurugram case was happening. So, that anger is void, justified, correct, incorrect. I am too small to comment on it, but do not bring it out on your communications. not afforded to do. Because you write one bad department, trust me, that officer, you do not know where he would meet you again. Yaha ki bhadas, years anger would be removed out there for no fault of anybody. Why to do that? Getting officers, please don't. He is like an officer, treat him like one with full respect. Even if he makes a blunder in his approach, say you are stupid. Do not say आप बेवकूफ हो, आपको कुछ नहीं आता. Do not. Just say him, sir, to my little understanding, it is not appropriate. This stand is not appropriate. That is okay. But language, foul language with the department, please don't use it. Not cooperating with the legal demands. A lot of time what happens is that we receive a notice from the department. Send me your purchasers, list of purchasers. I'm sure a lot of us would have seen through it, through Twitter, that while you are applying for registration, the department is asking, send us a list of your of your suppliers, send us a list of your purchasers and so on. It is not a legal demand. If the department asks that the electricity bill is not visible, upload a visible copy, that is a legal demand. Wo kar dena. But that is not required to be done, the first thing that I discussed. Being scared, power hai unke paas, agreed. But if you are afraid, half of the battle is lost there. And when I say that don't be scared, don't be extra confident as well. Because both of them are a cause of issue. Using too much of jargons. Okay. Do not use too much of jargons. Like mens rea was absent. The superintendent is like, what are you trying to say? Sir, chori nahi kiya. To bhai bhai wo likhna. What are you telling me? Mens rea was absent. Lexus not cogit ad impossibilia. He's like, I don't understand it. Write it simple. So that is how we should be, or rather these are the things that we should be avoiding as well. Select court judgments. I will be sharing this PPT with all of you, so you can just read it. Forms used, I believe I do not have to discuss much. And these are a few of my social media initiatives. So if any one of you wants to be a part and wants to receive regular updates, you can feel free to join any of them. And thank you so much. Here is where I end my deliberations. And thank you so much once again, Amit sir, Anuj sir, and Sumit sir, for inviting me, a very, say, lesser known and a very young person to this wonderful event. Thank you so much. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
And one more thing, if I have missed out certain points or if I have not elaborated more on your favorite topic, I would surely like to apologize because I am obviously running short of a time and you also have a question answer session too. So thank you so much.
सर वो आजकल वो भी तो आ रहा है, आई-10 भी तो मांगते हैं रजिस्ट्रेशन के टाइम पे, उसका क्या करें?
Sir, is it legal? Answer is no.
तो वही तो ना सर, मांगते तो सब कुछ ही है.
वो तो सर आपसे आपकी जायदाद भी मांग ले, कर दोगे क्या उसके नाम?
वो तो नहीं देते, तो उसका आई-10 भी नहीं सर.
तो फिर सर वही कहा ना सर, लीगल डिमांड सब पूरी करनी होगी. If it is anything is outside the scope of the act, that is not required to be complied with.
Right, sir.
Thank you, Nihar sir. I think Amit sir, there is any question in the chat box or in a question answer box, because I missed
question answer में है एक question sir.
So please go ahead because I missed the deliberations there between.
I think
question from please take Sumit ji. Sumit ji, please take question from Q&A.
सर Q&A में कोई क्वेश्चन नहीं है. I'm just checking.
विजय कुमार जी का है.
If he's okay with it.
Amit ji, that question was missed. I think you're the only one who will see this question.
Okay.
So please read
Nihal
out.
ji, question is whether SCN can be issued to a dealer that dealers have not shown freight charges in books of account for which are seem leviable. He is telling that he has transported on vehicle and transport bus by paying passenger ticket. Each turnover has crossed 2 crore.
Sir, whose onus to prove that it is freight charge? Taxpayers' owners, not to my understanding, right? Because if the taxpayer says that it was his own bus, taxpayers is saying that no, it was my routine bus. It is my regular business activity. You will have to first establish that a fact has been suppressed. So once you say that the fact has been suppressed, correspondingly that suppressed fact has an impact on his liability. For that an SCN can be issued. But if you have discovered it at the time of audit, then surely you have a material on record to issue a show cause. But then again, that is a lot of ifs and buts involved over here.
There is another question from Soumya. Okay. ASMT10 is issued in both cases where R1 liability more than 3B and where 3B R1 liability less than 3B. How to respond?
See, the point is, if it is more than 3B, it can be a clerical error. It can be a factual disclosure as well. And it can also be a case that you have disclosed it in the next year's details. Get down the facts. If it is lesser, then a good possibility that, say, a credit note was not impacted correctly. What is the fact? Depending upon that, a reply would be given.
Okay, sir. One more question from Mohit Gabaji. What if officer does not issue ASMT12 even after proper reply furnished?
Sir, if an ASMT12 is not issued within even after the 30 days, a good possibility that an SCN might come. And for issuing of that SCN, you will have to go to section 73.
Now there is no more question with us. Anuji, please take.
Amit ji, let's conclude the things now, I think.
Yes, sir.
Yes. And first of all, the Amritsar branch would like to thank C. Amit Kumar ji for arranging such a wonderful and a knowledgeable series. And it's all because of your efforts, sir, that this is a successful run of this 4 days series. And also thanks to C. Nihalchand Jain ji. Over to C. Jinder ji, please.
Now I request C. Jagdish Singh Jagji, our NIC member, please say a few words about this web series and today's sessions, because the Jagdish sir is with us from start of the session.
Sir.
Over to you, Jagdish sir.
Thank you, Anuj bhai, and thank you, Sumit Jetli ji, Amit Kumar ji, the chairman of Sonepat branch, who has taken this initiative. And it's a wonderful program. Of course, it's a time. I would say it's a team efforts of all the chairmen from the different branches. They've done a great job because it is a need of the current scenario. We need the team actually. We need the team for any initiative, whether we discuss about the Gurgaon case or we discuss about any other matter or we discuss about this webinar. So always we need a team, because when there is a team behind the working, always there is a win. So I would like to congratulate to all the chairmen of all the branches, Sonepat, Amritsar, of course the Yamunanagar branch, all my younger brother, the 3 brothers, and for their wonderful efforts. And of course, the today's speaker, Nihalchand Jain, sir. Well, you have done a great job. I was listening, not, I would say I've been listening just from the last 1 hour because I was busy earlier and I joined today very late. Day before yesterday, I joined from the starting and till the end of the program, I was available. But today, due to some, I would say the busy schedule, I joined after 1 hour. That was late from my side. But what I've listened from your side, what I've heard, about your presentation, what I've seen, so excellent the way of presentation. You have mentioned everything in a proper manner. So
Thank you so much.
one thing, even today, I got one notice from my client. That client is mentioning that the department has issued ASMT 10. And there is a difference. Department has mentioned there is a difference between GSTR 1 turnover mentioned in the GSTR 1 and the turnover as per the 3B. But when I saw the liability portion of for that particular year, 18-19, there is no any difference. Turnover as per GSTR 1 and the turnover as per 3B, both are the same figures. I don't know why the department is giving the notice, such kind of notice when there is no any discrepancy. So what they want to do? So Nihal sir, if you want to say about me, because that's all from my side. And
please check the spillover effect, sir.
Yeah, I will check because definitely
please check that spillover effect. Mostly it is some previous year's liability would have been disclosed in the current year. Pursuant to that notice should have been issued. Mostly it should be that only.
Yeah.
The sale return or debit note, credit note, sir.
I mean, that is not there. Debit note and credit note is not there. I have already given direction to my assistant. Okay, please cross check with the figure of 3B and GSTR 1, because maybe at the liability portion both the figures are same. But maybe when we will check each and every month properly, each and every column, that we will find some differences. Maybe that is the call from the department. So I have to cross check. And thanks a lot, sir, Nihalchand Jain. So,
thank you so much, sir.
Younger chap, very energetic, a good, smart guy, and we have a very good system, which we are maintaining while taking this webinar. So thanks a lot for joining this platform, and of course all the my three brothers. So once again, I would congratulate for their efforts. So over to Amit ji or
Thank you, Jack, sir.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you. Always pleasure.
Over to you, Amit ji.
Thank you, Jack, sir, for your kind words. We will try to conduct such knowledgeable webinars in future also with other branches and Yamunanagar and Amritsar branch too. And thank you for joining for continuous 4 days and learning some good depth knowledge from GST, from our 4 speakers who are too much expert in their own fields. Thank you, everyone.
Now, on the behalf of all 3 branches, I would like to formally thank CA Nihalchand Jain ji from Mumbai for your colorful presentation with a beautiful deliberations and for a excellent knowledge. Sir, you are just a complete package in such a young age. I would like to congratulate you and give you the best wishes in future. You will achieve whatever you dream, and you will be the big name in the GST in coming years. Thank you so much, sir. And hopefully, hopefully this be received in future also. I would also like to thank Amit Kumar ji, Sonepat branch, for taking these initiatives and bringing such great personality of our professions. Who has enlightened us on a very hot topics of these days. Thank you, Amit ji. And I also like to thank Sumit Jetli ji, chairman of Amritsar branch, who has with us all 4 days and making this event successfully. I would also like to thank CA Jagdish Jack ji, NIRC member, who are inspiration for us, who are giving this kind of ideas to us and making this event successfully. Thank you so much, sir. And I also like to thank all the viewers, all the participants who are with us for all 4 days of this VCM series. And we would also like to tell them this kind of web series we are also planning for near future. So hopefully this will benefit it as a professional, all of us. Thank you so much, sir, to all of you.
Anuji, one thing I want to say, Nihal is also a big name in GST. Today also.
Arre nahi yaar. I am just a learner, not a big name as of now.
Amritsar, I just want to add one thing here. Might yeah, that was sure the Nihal sir is a big name in the GST, but as a North members, I think it's become a big name in North also.
Right,
I
right.
become in a big India international levels. Thank you so much. All the best wishes for you, sir.
Thank you so much, sirs.
Thank you. Thank you, Amritsar. Thank you, Sumiji.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Satish sir. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, sir. Thank you. We take your leave now, and we hope we are again rejoining on 14th.
Right.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you,
I'll
brother.
share you the details, sir, and thank you all
Right.
for making this event a big success. Thank you.
Great, great.